Hello everyone, dear attendees and dear participants. Um, Welcome to this first episode of the TechSphere, an edition that highlights inspiring journeys of people in tech whose community involvement has helped shape their career as achievements. And today we have a great pleasure of welcoming a truly special guest, Anna, who is an engineering manager based in Germany. Anna is leading engineering teams in the fintech domain. She is also a Google developer expert in Android, inspiring figure in the African tech ecosystem. But today we are talking about her journey from Kenya to Germany. Not just that, her experience as a woman in international tech work, her commitment to tech communities, and how all of this has shaped her career and leadership style. Okay, so thank you, Anna, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, so it's a great pleasure for us to have you today because your career and your career paths and your involvement interest us, and that's why we chose you as the special guest today. First of all, let's start with our first question. Could you tell us a bit about your journey? How did it all start for you in the tech ecosystem?
Okay. Thanks for leading the conversation. I think it's actually helpful that you're here. I can start from how I got into tech. As mentioned, right now I'm an engineering manager, but it wasn't the original path that I had thought of in the beginning. So I started off my career as an actuarial scientist graduate. So I did my studies in actuarial science for my university days. But during those days, I remember my most interesting classes were the ones that were all about programming or building websites or things like that. And so I took up courses immediately after I graduated. I took up courses to grow more into this field. So I learned how to code with simple systems on databases, and then grew more into now mobile development. So if you look at my CV, you'd see at some point I was a web developer, then I became a deployment engineer. Deployment engineer at that point meant something to do with a bit of DevOps. And then that's when I now transitioned fully into mobile engineering. So before I became engineering manager, I was a mobile engineer for a couple of years, and that's how I was also able to get the title as Google Developer Expert for Android. So my journey has been a lot of transitions. I think a lot of people imagine that it's too late. Maybe they feel like they can't change careers, but I always encourage people that it's never too late. You can always start somewhere. And when you're starting off, don't try and limit yourself to just one maybe specification. Try and be a bit broad so that you can explore different aspects within tech before you make that decision to grow in one specific area. So I think, that's my summary about it. And then, now I transition into engineering manager for teams. Yeah.
Oh, great. Amazing. So you mentioned that your path has a lot of transition. That's good. That's cool. But what specifically draw you to Android development?
By the time I was making the decision to do Android development, it was, as I mentioned, I had tried web development, I had tried a bit of DevOps, and when I started doing classes for mobile engineering, I was like, okay, Android is actually quite interesting for me, and I was more passionate about it. So the more I grew into mobile engineering roles where the specification was for Android, the more I got to, specify to remain in that path. I tried a bit of actually iOS development on the side, where I would collaborate with other people who were better at me on iOS development, but I didn't think I'd want to explore it further. So that's why I got more and more into Android development. I think for me it's been the ability to build something from scratch, where you're building a bit of the back end on how it works. Then you get to see how to make the user interface more interesting for the users to use. And in the end, you have a final product that you can ship to the production. Yeah, that was really satisfying for me. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. That's cool. That's cool. So I guess that you have a leading ADN that conduct you to be a manager to switch from just a simple engineer to become engineering manager, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you like to lead team to take some initiative and action.
Yeah. So yeah, by the time I was moving actually to engineering management, it was more because I had a really good manager and I thought this is actually a good step up for me because if you have a good manager in your team, I don't know, maybe people who are working in corporate companies can attest to this, that if you have a good manager, you're able to focus more on your work, for example, you're able to rely on them to advocate for you, or even like guide you. And that's why even as we're talking today about mastering goal setting, it's really important to have a good manager who can sort of be your mentor or your coach in the workspace. And this way you have some form of direction that you want to go into. So I felt like this would be my next role as I grow up in the ladder, because yeah, it felt really impactful for me to be able to guide other engineers in this way.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's great. Thank you. And I can see your CV that you're from Kenya, if I'm not mistaken. Yes?
Yes, I am. Yes, I
Great.
am.
So how did your transition from Kenya to Germany happen?
So yeah, I've been living in Kenya, grew up in Kenya, studied in Kenya, and I was working for different companies then. But this point where I worked for a company called Andela, I think a few people know about it. I got exposed to remote working in a way that was really nice for me. So I worked with companies based in America, based in Europe, worked for a company in Sweden, and that really exposed me to the idea of actually I don't need to be in one location to be good at what I do and work only locally. I can work for different companies based in other parts of the world. So this kind of exposure also pushed me to consider what would it mean to live in another country outside Africa, outside where I'm used to. And so I started applying for roles in Europe, and my first role that came through was with a company called TaxFix, and they supported me to now relocate to Berlin in Germany. So I've been there. I've been in Berlin now for 2 years. I now work for a different company called mobile.de. Yeah, so it's been a transition.
Oh, that's nice. The nice experience, though.
Yeah.
Yes, you mentioned that you were exposed to remote work from Kenya
Mm-hmm.
with TechSphere, your former company.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but even if your company helped you to relocate to Germany, I guess you face some cultural or professional difference between the two locations. So, what cultural or professional difference have you noticed between working in Africa and Europe? Is there any difference system or maybe the way people work?
Yeah, I would say of course it's gonna be there constantly. I don't think it's something to be shy about. We come from different backgrounds, different cultures, different upbringings, for example. And whenever you're in these spaces working with people from a different culture from you, I always remind people that you can't start to feel like they're being unfair to you or you should be unfair to them. Everyone is coming with a different background, right? So for me, I think the very ones that the very first differences that I saw from the beginning was a work culture where it's encouraged in the team setting or maybe even the company setting to always speak up, to raise your voice if something is not clear. Don't be shy to ask for more clarity. That wasn't common for me when I was working back at home in Kenya. because it would be more like if your manager says this, then that's how it should go. But I learned to embrace this culture that when I came to Europe, like not be afraid to speak up, not be afraid to ask for clarity. And in the end, I see that this is really helpful, and it increases and improves collaboration. So I think that's one that came up to my mind immediately. But yeah,
There's, yes, I think there's a common issue people face when we relocate from Africa to Europe. Different system of work.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a great experience. So nowadays we have some movement that put in front women rights, especially women in tech, the movement Women Tech Makers, for example. So have you faced any particular challenges as an African woman in the global tech environment? So if that's the case, how did you overcome them?
of course, the end we end up being the minority, right? So it's something that is faced all over the world. I wouldn't just say it's because I'm in Europe. Even back at home in Kenya, the women in tech are a minority. So how to face that challenge for me is I constantly seek opportunities to mentor other women in this space so that they're not shy away or feel like they'll be alone. And for me personally, how do I take it? When I'm in the workspace, I choose to remain professional, to keep doing my work well and not constantly feel like I'm being treated unfairly. I think the challenges would keep coming up. I don't know if I can think of an example at the top of my head. But I think for me, being a resilient person in my personality has also helped me not to constantly feel like it's too difficult to be in this field or too difficult to remain in my role. So yeah. And I also have mentors and role models who have also kept me encouraged and motivated to be in this space. So yeah, that's maybe one tip that has supported me all through. Yeah.
Oh, great. That's inspiring to if just people, especially women, to to get more motivation about getting involved in the tech environment. That's
Mm-hmm.
great. That's great. Thank you. Yes, we mentioned in the introduction that you are also a Google developer expert in Android. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so could you explain what that role means in practice? Concretely, what is a GDE?
So Google Developer Expert is a title that you get from Google. You're not an employee of Google. Commonly, people always imagine that's what I am. But the benefit of it is that you get backing from Google in terms of when I'm going to, for example, conferences to speak at a conference or uh, attending meetings where there are other Google developers and they need feedback from other developers, then they invite us as Google developer experts to give our perception or even maybe help them test out features that haven't been rolled out yet. So as I said, the first benefit is of that, and in the mix of it all, you end up networking with other Google developers who now increase your other networking scope within the tech field. So to become a Google developer expert, it's also a process. You have to interview. It's just not something you apply and you're guaranteed to get it. There are very few of us in the world. I remember in Africa when I met the first Google developer expert in Android, it was really interesting because at at that time it was mostly people from Europe or from America getting this title. And you see, when you see someone from Africa getting this title, then you also get motivated that actually I can apply for this and I can stand a chance. So yeah, I've made friends over the years. I've been a Google developer expert again for almost 3 years. So yeah, I'm really excited to be a part of this journey. They support my travel and accommodation when I go for these kind of conferences. And then the expectation from me, for them, from me is that I keep contributing back to the community, yeah, through talks or articles, yeah, or mentorship.
Great. That's cool.
Mhm.
So isn't that difficult to get to get selected in the process to become a GDE.
Yes, it is, because first of all, there are many people who want to get the title, right? So you're competing with people from different parts of the world, first of all, and then in your expertise, let's say for Android or web or Google Cloud, there are also people who are really good at those um, tech stacks by Google or using those tools. So one recommendation is that you also need to get someone who's already a GDE to recommend you or refer you. This way you stand a higher chance. And then for me, what I also did, I took part in the mentorship program that was around 3 to 6 months. That also helps you know what are the gaps that you need to fill before making your application, so that your application is not even it's not rejected from the first try. I think also that during the interview, you're also supposed to talk more about what are you also aiming to get out of the program, or what gave you the push. And yeah, I think the first time I applied, actually, I got rejected. So yeah, I applied again. So it happens, and most of us have the same story. Most of us GDs, at the first time we applied, it didn't work out. I know someone who applied maybe 2 to 3 times, and just when they were about to give up, they got referred and nominated. So yeah, it's a process. Not easy, but it's worth it in the end for anyone who's interested. Yeah.
Great. That's good to know. Yes. So, being a DLE make you a member of the Google developer community. Uh,
Yes.
yeah. So, how has been part of that community, the developer community, contributed to your professional growth?
Of course, it contributes to my professional goals, right? Remember, I mentioned there's different technologies that you can be a Google developer expert for.
Yes.
So, first, you'll be for me, I'm in the community with the Android developers, but I have access to the community of Google developer experts for web, for cloud, or machine learning. So, for example, if I ever need some sort of support in machine learning technology and I'm not sure what to pick or what to choose, or even if I need some help in collaboration there, I can quickly just go to our Slack channel and ping someone from that community and ask for help. So this helps you professionally, first of all, and also if you're looking to explore into new fields, that you get this kind of consultation from your peers. And then other ways I also see professionally is like if someone is working for a good company that you want to apply for example, I remember there's one of the GDEs who was working for Reddit, and there was a vacancy at their company, so they were able to refer people to apply for that role. So you see, like, you already get this first-hand experience of being in a community, but not having to work so hard to find out, who works in this company, because now you already have access to them by just knowing that they're a fellow GDE. And that really connects us as much. And yeah, I think mostly the networking bit is the highlight for me, apart from the traveling and everything. Yeah, yeah,
That's good. That's good.
yeah.
So, you became a GDE when you were still in Kenya, right?
Yes, I was. Yes.
Yes. So that's what makes you the first GDE for Android in Kenya.
Yeah,
So
for the women. There was already an Android developer.
okay.
Yeah,
So this
yeah,
just for women.
yeah.
Okay. So
Mhm.
now, in your view, what role do tech communities play in Africa today?
I think even in my transition story, maybe because I just didn't mention it, the tech community is what gave me the support, right? Because I was transitioning into a field that I had no idea what would I even specialize in. So for me, the tech communities, I would attend the free meetups at that time because, again, I'm attending meetups because I'm still not sure what I want to do. I'd attend meetups and talks that were also easily available for me to attend. And in this way, when I was networking with people who are like me, transitioning, they would even now guide me or even attach me to someone who can give me better insights. And then at the same time, these are the same people who will refer you to jobs when they see jobs that would work for you. So for me, I see tech communities, not only in Africa, but all across the world, are important for the support that you need if you're looking to either give back to the community or find out more about things in the tech space that you may not have access to at a glance. I've collaborated with so many people right now in the tech community space. I remember in Kenya, people who had projects, and maybe I'll just go in to maybe build one part of it. And in this way, you're also able to increase, for example, your reach on GitHub, your GitHub repository, because now you're building things that are not just focused on you, what you can build, but you're also expanding your knowledge by working with people who are building other things. So yeah, that was really a good experience for me.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, about tech communities, you can also participate. You can organize events. Maybe you can participate as an attendee or as a speaker. So, for you, what's the main difference between participating in a community and building one?
By building a community, you mean by setting up events, right?
Yes, maybe be an organizer of a chapter.
Okay, yeah, I haven't done that personally. I've just only supported my friends who are doing it because I feel like that takes a lot of time, and I'm not privileged to have that much time anymore. I think this is a different kind of passion because you also need to know how to get sponsorship and partners, and involves a lot of you being on the ground. So where I come in is by supporting them, either organizing their documentation for them or making sure there's set up on websites or the content that they need, like virtually, because I think I'll have more time then. So for me personally, I don't know if I would say much about the organization bit, but more for being a speaker or attendee is where I'd give more feedback. And I see value in organizers who take time to plan the events well and not rush them. Because in the end, the whole event experience is what helps the people know if they're getting value out of the money that they're paying for the tickets, for example. So I've attended big conferences, I've attended small meetups. But I think that's my 2 cents about it. It really depends on how the organizer goes about it. Yeah.
Yes, I confirm that you need to have enough time to manage that because it takes a lot of time, to host an event or maybe to be an organizer of a community. It takes a lot of time. Okay. So in your previous intervention, you mentioned that you can get mentorship to become a GDE, right? Yes, I guess it's not something like just automatic to get a mentor. Maybe you have some criteria for a mentor to accept you. Uh, what advice could you give to someone who needs a relevant mentorship?
Okay, so mentorship is also something that you just don't wake up to and decide, I want this person to be my mentor. You have to think about it strategically. As I mentioned, I have mentors and I've also been a mentor. So I have mentees as well. Let me talk from the mentor bit first. So when you're looking for a mentor, don't expect that this person will have everything that you want to know or want to grow into. For example, have a mentor who will guide you in your specific tech stack. So if I want a mentor on Android, I can get a mentor for Android. And if I need another mentor to help me with other life choices, I can get a mentor on finances, so that I'm not weighing down this one mentor to have all the answers that I need for different aspects of my life. When I'm also looking for a mentee now, what happens is, if also depending on my schedule, I can't take up to, I remember the time I couldn't have up to 3 mentees at a go. I had to space them out so that I'm also not giving them the attention that they need, because there's a lot of back and forth or guidance that is needed. So I can't take up if I already have 3 slots available, that's the maximum I would take at that point. Another criteria I would also think about is how exactly do I tie into the mentees' goals. And so the first meetings I usually have with my mentees is we're doing a goal setting. What do you want to achieve out of these 6 months? And our mentorship period has to have an end date. Unfortunately, I had one bad experience where my mentorship period with one person didn't have an end date, and it became more of now the person totally relying on me. So I feel like if you're trying to be a mentor or having a mentee, make sure you also set an end date so that the person can continue to be independent and only reach out to you on a need to be basis. I think that's my two criteria, I think, for now.
Oh, great. That's good to know.
Yeah.
For those who want to to engage the process, or maybe those who have ambition to become a GD. That's
Yes.
great advice. Thank you for that.
Yeah. But for also, let me just add, for GDE, we have our own mentorship program that they've just rolled out. So you can have a GDE mentor specifically if that's what you need. So I think you can just find it online if you type Google Developer Expert Mentorship Program. Yeah. They just started one this month. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yes, that closed the part of the community engagement. And now, what about talking about leadership and management? Okay. As an engineering manager, okay, how will you describe your management style?
It's a hybrid style. There's many styles of being a manager or a leader. So for me, I take the mix between being a coach and being a mentor. Uh, because I find this approach more workable and also gels well with my personality. Different managers have different styles to lead. So why I say coach and mentor is because coaching is more of leading hand in hand with the person you're trying to lead. So you're walking them through processes, you're trying to set them up and show them sort of by example, but not by really example. And then for mentorship, it's like I'm leading from the front where they're looking at what have I achieved, what have I gained, and they want to aspire to reach me. So, and that approach really works well because there's also motivation and there's support at the same time. So that's my approach, I would say. Does it make sense to you?
Yes, yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Because we also work in some companies, we also have manager, and sometimes managers could behave differently, and some managed people don't like the way the manager act, maybe get more autonomous, or maybe get more involved in the task they ask manage people to do. And maybe some people like autonomy and the way the manager get attention on what they do and the evolution and the KPI, key objective, and so on. So it's important to know. Okay, thank you. And so, how do you balance a technical aspect with people management?
Um, it's really important to still remain aware of what your team is doing technically. I think, it's easy to get lost into the people management and only focus on how is my team doing, how can I support them. But if you don't know the actual struggles of what they need to achieve technically or what they're struggling with technically, there's going to be a gap. So for me personally, I always choose to sit down with the person and then ask them to walk me through some of the things that they're facing challengingly. I can talk about maybe someone in my team who's a data engineer. So I'm not a data engineer. I'm from the Android field, right? So if they're talking about some challenges that they're facing, it would be really hard for me to say, oh, I'm going to learn data engineering so that I can understand what you're saying. But they can break down to me in a high level what they're trying to achieve. And in this way, when I'm also doing my own research, I'm doing a just-in-time learning sort of approach where I'll read about maybe that specific topic that is giving them a challenge and see who else within the team, for example, or who else within the company can support them better. and not feel like I have to burden myself to learn how to be a data engineer. So I always think this approach makes more sense, so that you're not constantly trying to impress your team and at the same time getting overwhelmed and things like that. So that has worked really well for me so far. Yeah.
Great. That's a great way to. I think that's a great way for me to to manage, because I find is really relevant. Okay, that's great. What are some biggest challenges you face in your current work? Maybe with your manager, or maybe with people you manage. Uh, why not? Maybe in your daily tasks.
Our challenge is mostly it's always with conflict resolution, where people have different expectations of you and you're also trying to meet different expectations from people. And this is normal. I don't think this is something that can completely go away. And it would happen even if I was to join a different company today. That would something that would come up. I can be in the same company for 5 years, and once in a while that will keep coming up, because we're also working with human beings, right? Personalities are different. People have different ways of working. But how I overcome this challenge for me personally is always to have a good communication approach about it. Let's sit down, let's align, let's have even an expectation management session together. And then we can keep revising this, right? So it doesn't mean if we aligned in January that this is what you need to do. And then in June, you feel like you want to do things differently. I can't go back to say, oh, but this is what we did in January. Why are you changing your mind? Allowing space for that as well, allowing space for reviewing discussions that were made earlier is a really good approach to help with communication and expectations. So it's a constant learning. I wouldn't say I've nailed it, because egos are hurt. It also becomes like, why are you trying to prove me wrong kind of conversation. But I think for me, constantly just allowing myself to be in a space where it's okay to have discussions about this and how can we move forward, what can we think of as the next steps. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yes, yeah. So you mentioned differences.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there's an important aspect. Okay, we can, yes, just talk about diversity and inclusion. How do you approach or manage diversity and inclusion within your teams?
Mm, is there really a good way to do it? Well, how do I manage it? First of all, I try to also make sure there's gender balance. I think, as I mentioned already, women were a minority in most tech spaces. It can be one thing for me to just decide, okay, I'm only hiring women this time. But again, that also limits my pool of getting people who are really good at the field of expertise of what I'm looking at. So it's a delicate balance between trying to make sure there's enough women in the team, or there's enough um, people from Africa or from other part of the world in this team. But in the end, you also have to always consider the best person for this role, right? So I think it's a delicate balance. I don't think I've nailed it, but I try my best to put all those considerations, when I'm hiring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really sensitive subject, because people can see you differently depending the way you act in front of diversity and inclusion programs.
Mm-hmm.
You can see people complaining about the way you do, maybe the way you select your candidate or your team members. No, you don't select enough people from this region, enough people from this orientation, and so on. So I know that's a really great challenge as a manager. Yes,
Yeah.
that's great. So, in your opinion, what makes a great tech leader today?
What would make a great leader?
Yes, a great leaders. And not filling all the cases or the checkbox, but generally, what makes a manager a great tech leader?
I would say ask yourself if you're a leader, what are the values that you're bringing to the table, to the team, to the company, or even to yourself? One question, how I answer this question for myself is, you can't try and separate, first of all, your personality to say, oh, because, for example, if I'm a quiet person, I can't say, oh, I need to suddenly be an aggressive leader and be shouting and everything in the team, because that's what's expected of a leader. So how does your personality also gel with your leadership style? So for me, I'd say, what values like, are you empathetic? Are you trustworthy? Are you patient? Are you vulnerable? What's the other thing? Are you resilient, for example? Because in the end, the team is looking up to you and they expect you to be their sort of umbrella or shield. So if their values that you bring into the table are not aligning with what they're expecting, then there's always going to be a clash. Sorry. Different companies, different teams have different expectations for you as a leader, and you need to also be able to adapt depending on the setting. Yeah.
Okay.
So, mhm.
So what if maybe your team member things that you don't do good, and maybe if you know that you do what you have to do in the proper way, yes, maybe if you do your job correctly, and your manager thinks that you're doing great, but your team members don't. So
Yes.
I guess it's a really annoying situation that some manager really don't want to be to be in.
Yeah, I always say I put the team first for me personally, and I think most managers would do that as well. Most good managers. It's for me constantly thinking that for me, how I put it is, my team, the people in my team are the experts, right? They're the ones who know what they're working on. They're the ones who know what they want to achieve and how best to achieve it. And my role here is to support them to get to that end goal. So if the person in the team is not happy, then I'm the one supposed to figure out how to make it better for them. I can't rely on people who are outside, or for example, a peer who's another engineering manager in a different team telling me, oh, Hannah, you're doing such a good job. But the person in my team is feeling like, no, I need more support here. I would listen more to the person in my team. Yeah, and try to do a work around that. Yeah.
Yes, that's good work. That's good work. Could you share, for example, an example of a moment
Mhm.
where your leadership really made a difference?
Mm, what can I talk about that is not breaching my contract? uh, okay, leadership. Okay, so I can talk about, yeah, well, it's actually part of what title of this talk, Mastering Goal Setting. When I joined my team, we were going through the goal setting phase of the year, and most of the people in my team, the engineers, were feeling like they had not had a previous good experience with goal setting, and they were mostly shying away from it and not looking forward to it. So what I did is I worked on a template that we could discuss together on one-on-ones. And we did this over a period of maybe 2 to 3 weeks, where I sent it out to them first. They had a look, we had a call. I walked them through the process. I gave them some time to think about it. Then in the end, we had clear goals that were defined, and we would now work on these goals through the rest of the year. And so the impact I had on them, which they also gave me, the impact was that now they felt like their goals gave them clarity of the year on what to achieve or what to work towards. They were really excited about them. And we'd also do frequent check-ins through the year, every 3 months, and see, do we need to adjust this goal? Do we need to go back to the drawing board about this one? Have we completed a goal? Can we celebrate a milestone? And that was really encouraging for them within the team. So, and I also ended up writing an article about this. So it was really inspiring for me, and I could see my impact firsthand. Yeah.
Great, that's a pretty good example. Pretty good example, by the way. Yes. Now maybe this question will be a bit tricky. Maybe to let you question your career choices. Um, if you could go back and start your journey over, like maybe start anything at the beginning, what would you do differently?
Hmm. Do I have any regrets? Because I feel like in all the transitioning periods, even that I did or went through, there are always such good learning points for me that I don't think I picked up anything that I would say, oh, I did this wrong. Uh, because, as I mentioned, I had mentors along the way. Let me see. Okay, maybe I would say this, maybe, and because I didn't have the information then, maybe I would really start thinking earlier on that I can work anywhere in the world. I think maybe that took too much time from from when I make that decision. I think I waited to be more confident or be more skilled. But if maybe if I grew up or in my high school days knowing that I can work anywhere in the world, then I wouldn't have limited my options or my choices to just work within Kenya. Maybe I could say that's the only thing. But again, I have no regrets. The work experience I got from Kenya was also good and part of my journey. Yeah.
Yes, that's amazing. We all have that situation where we say, "Oh my God, if I could have known this before, what if I could have done this before? Um, I will be
Yeah.
in this position, that situation, something like this, Right? Yes, that's cool. That's cool. So what's one thing, maybe have more than one thing. Why not? One thing that you're most proud of today.
Mm, I'm proud that I can give back to the tech community, especially within my career or just even in talking about life journey process to other women, especially. Yeah, it's been something that has always been a highlight for me that I can do. Many people shy away from this because they feel like, oh, I don't have anything to give or I don't have any learning to give. But I'm glad that I'm able to have this opportunity, even to be invited for things like this. I'll go for conferences. That's one thing I'm proud of. And I'm proud that I get to experience life abroad. It's a whole journey, but yeah, I'm happy about that.
Yes, we are proud
Yeah.
of you too.
Thank you.
Yes, that's great. That's great. Yes, if you go back to the African context, you know that for people living in Europe or generally abroad, it's more easy for them to get an international position
Hmm.
due to the level of study, maybe the story recognition or acknowledgement around the world. And now, what advice would you give to a young African developer, not just a developer, but just from African that were dreaming of an international tech career?
Apply. don't don't be afraid to apply. Ask for referrals. Look for companies that are willing to relocate. Also, don't apply blindly because it's one thing to apply and get frustrated, but if your frustration is because for sure that company didn't want to relocate anyone, then you're directing that frustration to the wrong place. So have a strategy as you're applying. As I mentioned again and again, have mentors or seek people who can guide you through this process and yeah, be strategic about it. Yeah, I don't think there's one way answer to give. Like it's not a guarantee. I have friends who've been trying to apply for years now. So But yeah, I don't think I would say I have the run book on how to do it and win. But yeah, just be strategic about it.
Yeah, there's never guarantee on an application.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that Leolin is raising his hand. Maybe you want to say something?
Yes. Thank you again, Hannah. Thank you again for this event, and thank you again for sharing your experience. So I have a question. I don't know if maybe you have already answered it, but I was wondering to know how do you approach making difficult or maybe unpopular decision as a leader? For instance, maybe you have to restructure a team or maybe cut budget or such as things. So how do you approach this these situations?
Uh, do you want one answer or it depends answer?
Mm.
I think maybe I must have answered it as I mentioned at some point as I was talking.
Mm.
It's more like depending on the situation kind of approach. So if you feel like the communication bit, because I started by saying communicating and aligning on expectations. If that wasn't clear and you need to revise on how things are working, then we try that approach. And again, if it doesn't work, which I haven't done, I hear people consider options to have like a mediator to try and interpret what both of you are trying to communicate to each other that is not clear. But I think in the end overall, just don't feel like you're constantly the victim, because that's one way to fail at this perspective. Because if you constantly feel like, oh, these people are treating me unfairly, these people are just trying to make me feel bad, then you end up having a negative attitude about things. I like one of my friends always says, assume positive intent until proven wrong. So if you're constantly in a negative headspace, then yeah, you carry this energy with you. And even when it's time to maybe accept that things won't change about this situation and you need to move on, do it quickly. That's another thing I learned from my friend. Do it quickly so that you're not trying to go around in circles trying to prove someone wrong or right. Yeah. If you need to move on to a different opportunity or space, then yeah, just do it quickly as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for answer.
Okay.
I hope I answered you well.
Yes. It's good, very good as maybe I can say as expected. So yes, it's good answer for me. So thank you.
Yes. Okay. As now we have a lot of people from Africa who inspired tech communities, especially people like you, Anna. And do you think that what do you think about the future of African tech ecosystem in the next 5, 10 years? Do you think that people in the African tech ecosystem will be more motivated to get involved and to contribute to community?
Yeah, I think it's already happening right now, right?
Mm.
So the Africa tech ecosystem is growing like exponentially. I feel like with all the support, for example, with programs like this, the Google Developer Expert or other tech communities that are giving in the effort and guidance or mentorship that is needed, I see a lot of growth if I compare to back then during my time. I don't know if you follow this, what do I call them? Competitions where African techies are now getting top awards in these competitions when they build things with AI or machine learning, things like that. I don't know if you're able to follow, and you're seeing that actually people within Africa have really good skill and they're talented. So it's opportunities like this or even experiences like this that are showing that within the next 5 years, for example, there'll be such a massive growth, and I'm here to see it, ready to enjoy and celebrate with others. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I see that is already 3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. To conclude,
Mm-hmm.
if you had to summarize your journey, like your world journey from Kenya to Germany, from the basic position you just had from your current role, if you had to summarize all of that in one word or sentence, what would it be?
That's really hard. But I can try to keep it within the theme of what we are talking about. Not I can say not every career goal is about finding a new job, or even when you're in the workplace, not every goal that you have is to maybe get the next role or be promoted. Think of your goal setting as I want to grow as I want to grow wholesome as an individual. So what are the areas what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are things I want to improve on? And then how can I blend all this together to come up with a goal that is all round for me? That's, I think, my summary in one sentence.
That's a great summary, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's a very contain a lot of information, but few information, but a lot of information.
Yes.
Yes, that's great. I don't know if someone in the audience would like to ask a question to Anna. If that's the case, don't hesitate to raise your hand. Uh, since we are closing the session. Okay. So if there's no more question, thank you so much, Anna, for joining us today for this inspiring and insightful conversation.
Thank you for
It's
inviting
really
me.
amazing. I really like that for real. So it's been a great pleasure learning more about your journey, your community involvement, and your vision of leadership in tech. I think I will see things differently from now. Yes. So I'm sure the story inspired many listeners to get more involved in their local communities and believe in the power of giving back. Maybe question the choice of our careers to see to look at something different, maybe to get some changes that could help us um, to to get involved more in what we are doing and to get better every day. And to our listener, thank you for tuning in. Remember, every contribution you make in your community, no matter how small is it, can be the start of something big. Um, yes, of course. So see you next time for another inspiring episode of TechSphere. Maybe you will be the next guest speaker of TechSphere. So if you think that your journey could be inspiring and help other people to get more involved in community, in tech community, no matter where you are, don't hesitate to contact us to submit your proposition in our CFP, and we will review your application and maybe contact you if this is relevant for us. Thank you, everyone, and see you at the next episode.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.